And Bradford, in his journal, said, quote, "This community was found to breed much confusion and discontent and retard much employment. For this community, so far as it was found to breed much confusion and discontent." Uh, he said, it didn't work. It didn't work, right? Nobody did that. So 1623, Bradford, the governor, uh, and the leadership say, "Yeah, we're kind of done with this. This is not working out. We're done with this socialism crap. We're going to make some changes," right? So every household then got a parcel of land proportional to the household size. So if you have a big family, well, you got a bigger piece of land. If you got a small family, you got a smaller piece. And then whatever the family grew on its plot belonged to the family. They could do whatever they wanted to do with it. They could trade it, they could keep it, they could sell it, whatever. Now, the common storehouse was generally got rid of, although they did keep a certain tax to maintain public needs, like the militia, the minister, because back then you had a minister. There were certain things that were paid out of the public storehouse, but that was basically just a small tax to keep the basics done, right? So as soon as they do this, guess what happens? Productivity explodes. Bradford wrote about the fact that women and children were excited to go to the fields, and they're working hard because they were working for their own families. In fact, the 1623 was so abundant that they had surplus corn to trade with Indians. It was in 1623, after capitalism was introduced, that the Thanksgiving actually became something worth celebrating. It was in 1623, after capitalism was introduced, that people weren't starving and dying. It actually ended starvation permanently. By 1624, they were exporting food, and the colony really started to do well. Bradford wrote, and he concluded, and it's probably one of the clearest historical indictments of socialism ever, quote, "The experience that was had in this common course and condition may well evince the vanity of that conceit of Plato's, that the taking away of property and bringing it in community into a commonwealth would make them happy and flourishing, as if they were wiser than God." It was always absurdity. It was insane. The Pilgrims tried socialism because their investors tried to force it on them. It made people lazy, made them resentful. It created mass death and starvation. It was horrible. When they did away with socialism, suddenly the things got better. Everything improved. Things were good. There was abundance. Life was improving. Everything was better. The real story of the first Thanksgiving is not that we made buddies with the Indians and did good. The real story of the first Thanksgiving is how thankful we should be that we realized, and that our ancestors realized, that socialism's a disaster and it won't work. For hundreds of years, the American experiment realized that. We built on it. It was common sense. Why would I work for someone else? I wouldn't. There's no need for me to work. Socialism can't work and won't work and will never work. It's not a good idea. Socialism allows the elites to prosper and everybody else to suffer. Because guess what? When you have socialism, the people who control the store, the community store, they weren't starving. But the people were starving because there wasn't enough. That is always the truth about socialism. It is always the reality. William Bradford was the man, and just so that you all know, he was the governor of Plymouth Colony for over 30 years, and he just kept getting reelected over and over and over. He was first elected in 1621, then reelected every year, right? He wrote his journal from 1620 to 1647. So this is a firsthand account by the guy who was in charge, right? We know that it's the most accurate story that we have of what actually happened. It really was quite clear. Now, there's a lot, if you look at it, there's some wonderful pull quotes from there. It just doesn't work. It never worked.